All right, so today we're diving into something pretty powerful, something that could really shift how we think about healing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like when we think about healing, we often think about, the things we do in the physical world, right?
Right, pills, therapies, even just, waiting it out, letting time pass.
Exactly. But the law of one presents this really intriguing idea that true healing, well, it actually begins somewhere else entirely in what they call time space.
Yeah, and the way Ra puts it in session 69 is that in time space, entities can review, reformulate, and then re-choose the lessons.
Whoa, okay, so right off the bat, that quote really points us inward, right? Like
Mhm.
review, reformulation, rechoice. These are all internal processes.
Totally. It flips the script on how we usually approach healing. It's not about what's done to us, but what we do within ourselves.
And to really grasp why this interdimension is so crucial, we got to break down the difference between space-time and time-space.
Okay, so space-time, that's our everyday reality, right? The world of action, making choices, facing challenges.
The place where stuff happens,
Yeah.
where we experience life unfolding step by step.
Right, and time spit, well, that's like the flip side, the metaphysical realm, It's where we process those space-time experiences, really digest the lessons hidden within them, and ultimately where real healing begins.
Ra even points out this key difference between the two, saying the hallmark of time-space is the inequity between time and space. Like there's a huge chunk of what we call time that's dedicated to going over and over the biases and learned teachings from previous incarnations.
So imagine having this vast expanse of time in this inner world to really understand patterns and lessons from beyond just this lifetime.
That's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. And what's fascinating is how Ra describes the strength of each realm. Like space-time, that's where we take action, where we try to correct imbalances through our choices in the world. But time-space, that's where we get the fluidity of the grand overview.
A grand overview.
Yeah, it's this panoramic perspective that lets us see how everything connects across different lifetimes, grasp those deeper currents and start to address those imbalances at their root.
Okay, so this contrast really highlights why profound healing is considered a time-space phenomenon. But how does that actually play out? Like, how does healing actually happen in this inner realm?
Well, Ra tells us that healing is done in the time-space portion of the mind-body-spirit complex. It's then adopted by the etheric body and finally given to the space-time illusion.
So there are stages to this.
It seems that way.
And when Ra mentions the mind-body-spirit complex, what are we really talking about here?
That term encompasses our entire being, right?
Uh-huh.
Our thoughts and beliefs, our physical and energetic bodies, and our very essence, our connection to the source.
So the healing that starts within this complete integrated system in its time-space aspect.
Precisely. And then it's taken up by the etheric body, which Ra also calls the Formaker body. Think of it as the energetic blueprint on which our physical form is built.
So for any real healing to happen, it has to address this energetic blueprint in time-space first.
Exactly, before it can manifest in the physical.
So like Ross says, choosing a newly materialized configuration in time-space is the key to physical healing. It almost sounds like the law of attraction, but operating at a deeper energetic level.
That's a great observation. There are definite parallels. Both emphasize how our internal state can shape our external reality. But, the law of attraction, how we usually understand it, it often focuses on conscious thoughts and desires in the space-time world.
Uh,
But the law of one takes it further. It suggests that these inner shifts in time-space, often happening subconsciously or even superconsciously, those are what really reshape our energetic blueprint and ultimately our physical experience.
It's not just about, thinking positive thoughts. It's about a fundamental realignment within us in this inner dimension.
Exactly.
It's like those moments when you have a huge breakthrough, a real shift in perspective. It feels like something reconfigures inside before you see any change on the outside.
Yes. And Ray actually points to some specific ways we can access this time-space realm.
Okay, so how do we get there?
Dreams and meditation are key pathways.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
It's fascinating how Ray describes dreaming. It's a finely wrought bridge, he says, from conscious to unconscious. And with enough dreaming, you get healing of distortions.
So it's not just our brains randomly firing off while we sleep.
Right. It's a vital process for working through imbalances that mainly exist in time-space.
And Ray mentions that the time-space equivalent is far greater during dreaming. It's like our consciousness has more space, more freedom to work through things in that state.
It's not bound by our usual linear perception of time.
So given that, what are some practical things we can do to become more attuned to this expanded time-space equivalent when we dream?
Well, keeping a dream journal can be incredibly helpful.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
By writing down and reflecting on our dreams, we start to understand the symbolic language of our unconscious. you know? And we can see recurring themes or emotions that might point to deeper imbalances that need healing in time-space.
And, even just setting an intention before you fall asleep to remember your dreams can be surprisingly effective.
Really?
Yeah, it's like consciously opening that bridge to time space.
That's really helpful advice.
Yeah.
And along those same lines, Rao talks about meditation and contemplation as activities of the unmanifested self that are more aligned with the metaphysical self.
Our time space self.
Right, so they become like rehearsal rooms of the soul.
I love that image.
So how do these practices specifically help us tap into that healing potential within time-space?
Well, think about it. Through stillness and focused attention, meditation quiets the noise of our space-time mind, all the constant thoughts and external distractions.
Makes sense.
And that creates a space where we can become aware of the deeper currents within us, the subtle energies of our time-space being.
Okay.
It's in those moments of inner quiet that we connect with our intuition, our inner guidance, and those natural healing processes that happen in time-space can really start to flow.
So even as we're navigating the demands of space-time dreaming and meditation, give us direct access to the power of time-space. It's pretty amazing when you stop and think about it.
It really is.
But what happens when we transition out of this physical space-time altogether?
You mean when we die?
Yeah, Rouse talks about the afterlife as another crucial time-space realm, a kind of healing zone.
Exactly. He says that as soon as we die, we shift immediately into time-space. Entities enter a somewhat immobile state, he describes, placed by the form-maker and higher self for learned teaching.
Somewhat immobile state. That's a really interesting way to put it. It suggests a pause, a time for deep absorption.
Right. And during this time, we fully review our life, see it from a wider perspective, offer ourselves forgiveness for any perceived shortcomings, and then we evaluate what we need to learn in future experiences.
To think that our whole life is viewed through this lens of learning and self-forgiveness and time-space.
Yeah.
It's humbling.
It is. And it aligns with those near-death experiences where people talk about a life review.
I've heard about that.
Ra confirms that it's a very real and powerful process, guided by our higher self and the form-maker body.
So it's in this time-space state that we truly process and heal from the emotional and energetic residue of our past life.
Precisely.
Time-space is like the soul's backstage, as Ra puts it, a planning room between incarnations. He says in time-space it's not possible to correct unbalanced actions, but rather to perceive the imbalances and forgive the self.
That's a crucial distinction.
Absolutely.
Space-time, that's where we take action, try to right wrongs through our interactions in the world. But time-space gives us the clarity, the big picture view, so we can understand the root of those imbalances, cultivate self-compassion, and make conscious choices about what kinds of experiences will help us grow and heal in the future.
So the higher self is really essential to this time-space healing process, especially before we become consciously aware of our spiritual path during our physical lives.
Right.
Ra points out that until that point, this post-incarnative healing and the planning for future learning, it's all done by the higher self.
Which really highlights the incredible guidance and support that's always there, even when we're not aware of it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
It is. And the perspective we get in time-space allows the higher self and formaker body to orchestrate our healing and evolution in ways that we just can't grasp from our limited view within a single lifetime.
It's a testament to the wisdom and love that surrounds us, even if we don't always see it.
Definitely.
Now, going back to the idea of the blueprint for healing, Ra talks about the form-maker body and the indigo ray. He explains that healing begins in time-space within this indigo ray body, which is the etheric body or form-maker body, the energetic template for our physical being.
Right.
And the indigo ray is also described as the gateway to intelligent infinity, which in the law of one refers to the fundamental consciousness of the universe, the source of everything.
Yes.
So how does the indigo ray as this gateway help initiate healing in the form-maker body?
Well, the indigo ray is associated with intuition, spiritual insight, and the activation of our will. And it's at this energetic level in time-space that our conscious intention to heal can most powerfully interact with the potential for transformation held within the form-maker body.
So our will is a key factor here.
Absolutely. Ra explains that it's the will, the seeking the desire of the entity, that causes the indigo body to use the novel configuration, meaning that new healed state. It's our deepest yearning for wholeness acting through the indigo ray that sparks the shift in the energetic blueprint. And that shift then has a ripple effect on the physical body.
Wow, so that really underscores how powerful our intention is in the healing process.
It does.
And this naturally leads us to the role of healers. Ra clarifies that healers themselves aren't doing the healing. They're more like facilitators or channels.
Right. He says the crystallized healer is a channel for intelligent energy. It offers an opportunity without attachment to the outcome.
Meaning the true healing happens within the individual's time space based on their own will and their unique energetic makeup.
Exactly. The healer is a catalyst providing a focused conduit for those healing energies to be received and integrated.
And Ray even says that the greatest healer is within the self and can be accessed through consistent meditation.
Which brings us back to how important it is to actively engage with our own inner time space through practices like meditation to unlock our innate healing abilities.
And of course, we can't forget about dreaming, which Ray emphasizes as a crucial bridge to time-space for resolving those distortions. He says in remembering dreams, individuals can find clues to current energy center blockages and thereby reduce or eliminate those blockages.
So, paying attention to our dreams isn't just passive, it's an active way to understand our energetic state and facilitate healing within our time space being.
And keeping a dream journal can be so helpful for that.
It really can.
And as we discussed earlier, death isn't an ending, but a transition, an immediate return to time-space for that vital review, healing, and realignment. The soul turns inward to assess past experiences and work with the higher self to map out future learning opportunities. It's
Exactly.
all about growth.
And finally, let's touch on the concept of catalyst. Ra defines it as all that is unprocessed that has come before the notice of a mind-body-spirit complex. It's any experience, any interaction that we haven't fully understood or integrated.
And the key is that true healing happens when we consciously engage with and integrate this catalyst.
Right. When we become aware of the distortions reflected in our experiences and make a conscious choice to move towards a new understanding or perspective, that's when the healing in time-space can manifest in our physical reality.
And even those difficult emotions, as Rai mentions, they can be powerful catalysts for growth and learning.
Absolutely.
So when we put all of this together, time-space really merges as this essential arena for healing, for integrating our experiences, and for laying the energetic groundwork for a continued evolution.
And it challenges us to recognize that the most profound healing often isn't about external fixes, but about those deep internal shifts that happen in the quiet spaces of our own being in time-space.
This has been a truly fascinating exploration. It gives us a whole new way to look at healing, and it makes you think about the potential we all have to foster our own well-being by connecting with this inner dimension.
It's inspiring.
It is. So as you go about your day, I encourage you to consider this. What if the most important steps we can take towards healing and growth are the ones we take within ourselves in the stillness of our own time space? Maybe by paying closer attention to our dreams, cultivating a deeper connection through meditation, and really reflecting on our experiences, we can unlock an even greater understanding of our own remarkable capacity for healing and transformation.
I think that's a beautiful thought to leave us with.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
See you next time.
Bye.